Hi friends, welcome to Super Sunita channel. Today I am going to narrate one of the short stories written by O. Henry. The title of the story is The Last Leaf. O. Henry was an American writer. His actual name was William Sidney Porter. So many of you might be wondering what the title of the story is all about. The Last Leaf? What does it signify? What is there to write about the last leaf? So, the title of the story itself generates a sense of curiosity for the people who listen to the story or for the readers of the story. So, keeping all those things in mind, let's quickly get into the lesson. Sue and Johnsy, two young artists, shared small flat. The flat was on the third story of an old house. Johnsy fell very seriously ill in November. She had pneumonia. She would lie in her bed without moving, just gazing out of the window. Sue, her friend, became very worried. She sent for the doctor. Although he came every day, there was no change in Johnsy's condition. So we come to know in the opening lines that Sue and Johnsy are two friends. They are artists by profession and they stay in a small flat. They share the same flat, okay? And the flat is on the third story of an old house. We also come to know that Johnsy fell very seriously ill. She's very ill. She's down with pneumonia. And friends, pneumonia is an infection that affects one or both the lungs. And some of the symptoms might be like cough, fever, sweating, shaking, shallow breathing, loss of appetite, etc. Okay, so this Johnsy she's seriously ill with pneumonia, and she would all the time lie on the bed, gazing out of the window. And her friend Sue, she's very much worried for her friend, and she sent for the doctor, though the doctor comes every day to check up her and change the medicines and gives the best medicines. Still there is no change in her medical condition. One day the doctor took Sue aside and asked her, "Is anything worrying Johnsy?" "No," replied Sue. "But why do you ask? So what happened?" Since the doctor is little perplexed because he's coming every day, he's checking the health condition of Johnsy, and he's doing all that he can for Johnsy, but still he finds that there is no improvement in her condition. So the doctor one day, he took Sue aside because he doesn't want Johnsy to hear what he's saying to Sue. He asked Sue, "Is anything worrying Johnsy?" "No," replied Sue. "But why do you ask?" The doctor said, "Johnsy, it seems, has made up her mind that she is not going to get well. If she does not want to live, medicines will not help her." So the doctor said, to Sue that it seems that Johnsy did not make up her mind to get well. See, let's try to understand one thing. When somebody is ill or seriously ill in this condition, it's not something like a mild fever or a mild health condition wherein the symptoms would disappear in 2 or 3 days. Here Johnsy was seriously ill with pneumonia. Though the doctor is trying all that he could, and though her friends who is trying to provide her whatever is needed, but still there is no improvement in her condition. So the doctor says that, is anything worrying Johnsy? Okay, why she is lacking the will, to recover, to get back? Because once, when you are seriously ill, they cannot do, it does have an impact. They cannot do things which they normally love to do. They cannot eat properly. They cannot engage in activities which they previously do. In this case, Johnsy was an artist, so she's not painting or she's not engaged in the artistic work. Okay, she's lying on the bed all the time. She's not, she's feeling weak. So these are the physical things, physical symptoms which you're seeing. But inside, she's lacking the willpower. She's lacking the mental strength to recover. She almost lost the willpower to, to live, to survive the illness. So the doctor said, unless, she has the willpower to live, medicines alone will not help her to recover. That's true. That's true for any condition, right? That is true for anyone. So, Sue tried her best to make Johnsy take an interest in things around her. She talked about clothes and fashion, but Johnsy did not respond. Johnsy continued to lie still on her bed. Sue brought her drawing board into Johnsy's room and started painting to take Johnsy's mind off her illness. She whistled while working. All right. So Sue did whatever, after doctor remarked that, Johnsy was lacking the, willpower to survive the illness. Sue, made up her mind to make her friend better. She tried to do things which will interest Johnsy. Like Johnsy has an interest in clothes and fashion. So she talked about those things to Johnsy, but still Johnsy was not responding to her communication. So Johnsy continued to lie still without moving on the bed. But then again what she did, Sue went inside. She brought her drawing board into Johnsy's room and started painting to take Johnsy's mind off her illness. She was also, whistling while working. So to bring some interest into the work she's doing and also to create a positive vibe in the room. Okay. Suddenly, Sue heard Johnsy whisper something. So while she was doing all those things to, divert Johnsy's mind from the illness, suddenly she heard Johnsy whisper something. She quickly rushed into the bed and heard Johnsy counting backwards. So she quickly rushed to the bed and heard Johnsy was counting numbers backwards. She was looking out of the window and was saying 12. After some time she whispered 11, then 10, then 9, 8, 7. Sue anxiously looked out of the window. She saw an old ivy creeper climbing halfway up the brick wall opposite the window. In the strong wind outside, the creeper was shedding its leaves. So, while you might have observed, while Sue was doing all those things to, divert Johnsey's mind, she could hear Johnsey was whispering. See, remember, Johnsey was suffering from that illness and she was weak. So, she was only whispering. She quickly rushed to hear what Johnsey was saying. Johnsey was counting backwards, like she was saying 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, like, on and on. So, Sue anxiously looked out of the window and she saw an ivy creeper where, the creeper was shedding the leaves. Then Sue asked, "What is it, dear?" 6, whispered Johnsey. "They're falling faster now. 3 days ago, there were almost 100 leaves. There are only 5 left now." So Sue was a little surprised what it's all about. What is it now? She said, Johnsey said, there are only 6 leaves left on the ivy creeper. They're all falling now. And 3 days ago, there were actually 100 leaves on the ivy creeper. Now there are only 5 left. So you can understand how these lines relate to the title of the story. The title of the story is The Last Leaf. So, here Johnsey was relating her illness to that of the leaves on the creeper. She was saying, she will live as long as there were leaves on the creeper. If the last leaf on the creeper falls, that was the moment when she will die. So she's, counting the leaves. She's waiting for the last leaf to fall so that she would die. She was now mentally fixed. She was mentally now, she gave up that she will survive the illness. And she was feeling so weak. I mean, she lost hope on surviving the illness that, she was all the time gazing out of the window. She was looking at the ivy creeper. And, 3 days ago, there were 100 leaves on the ivy creeper. But now there are only 5 leaves and she's waiting for the last leaf to fall down. And she thinks by the moment the last leaf falls, she would die of that illness. Okay, that's what she was thinking. It is autumn, said Sue, and the leaves will fall. See, what is your illness to do with the ivy creeper? This is autumn season, and in autumn season, the plants will shed the leaves. So, the leaves, they are falling. It has nothing to do with your illness. When the last leaf falls, I will die, said Johnsy with finality. I have known this for the last 3 days. Oh, that's nonsense, replied Sue. What have old ivy leaves to do with you getting well? The doctor is confident that you will get better. So, Johnsy was not listening properly to whatever Sue was saying. She was believing that, she would die immediately after the last leaf falls. So then Sue got irritated. What does, falling the leaves on the ivy creeper got to do with your illness? It's not, it's rubbish. You're talking nonsense. It does not make any sense to me. Okay? Oh, that's nonsense, replied Sue. What have old ivy leaves to do with you getting well? The doctor is also confident that you will get better. Johnsy did not say anything. Sue went and brought her a bowl of soup. See, now Johnsy, she was not prepared to change her opinion. Sue brought her a bowl of soup so that, she can have it immediately. I don't want any soup, said Johnsy. I'm not hungry. Now there are only 4 leaves left. I want to see the last one fall before it gets dark. Then I will sleep forever. What does it mean? So she says now, Johnsy says, I don't want to have any soup. I'm not feeling hungry. I'm just waiting. There are only some leaves left only 4 leaves left on the ivy creeper, and I want to see the last leaf falling so that I can sleep forever. That it means that I will die immediately after the last leaf falls. Okay, this is what she is believing. She's not listening to what Sue is saying. Sue sat on Johnsy's bed, kissed her and said, "You're not going to die. I cannot draw the curtain, for I need the light. I want to finish the painting and get some money for us. Please, my dear friend," she begged Johnsy, "promise not to look after the window while I paint." So Sue sat on Johnsy's bed and kissed her and said, "You're not going to die, okay? I cannot draw the curtain. I cannot put a curtain there because, I need the light to, she's working on a painting. Sue is an artist. Sue is also an artist. So she's working on a painting and she says, I have to finish the painting and get some money for us. So please, friend, promise not to look after the painting, look out of the window while I do the painting. So she doesn't want Johnsy to look at the creeper all the time because she's relating her death with that of the last leaf on the ivy creeper. "All right," said Johnsy, "finish your painting soon, for I want to see the last leaf fall." So here she's saying, "Finish your painting now. I want to see the last leaf fall. I'm tired of waiting. I have to die. So please let me go away peacefully like one of those poor tired leaves." So she's saying from those sentences you come to know that uh, Johnsy is slowly giving up the will to live. She's thinking that she will die. Try to sleep, said Sue. I have to paint an old miner. I will call Behrman up to be my model. So Behrman, he's a neighbor of Johnsy and Sue. He lives on the ground floor. He was a 60-year-old painter. His lifelong dream was to paint a masterpiece, but that had remained a dream. See, Behrman was an old painter. He's a neighbor of Sue and Johnsy who lives on the ground floor. His lifetime dream was also to paint a masterpiece. He was also, he also was an artist. Okay, he's a 60-year-old painter. So what happened? Sue poured out her worries to Behrman. She told him how Johnsy was convinced that how Johnsy was convinced that she would die when the last leaf falls. Is she stupid? Asked Behrman. How can she be so foolish? Is she running a high temperature? Complained Sue. She's running a high temperature, complained Sue. She refuses to eat or drink, and that worries me a lot. So here now, Behrman says she's stupid. How can she be so foolish, so illogical? Okay. Now Sue continued pouring her worries. She tells that Johnsy is having a high temperature and she refuses to eat anything, and that worries her a lot. I will come up with you and see Johnsy, Behrman said. I'll come with you and see Johnsy. They tiptoed into the room. Johnsy was sleeping. Sue drew the curtains together and they went into the next room. She peeped out through the window. There was only one leaf on the creeper. Oh my God. Now look here. So they went into the room very quickly, and Johnsy was sleeping. They drew the curtains together and they went into the next room. She peeped out through the window. There was only one leaf on the creeper. It was on to make matters worse. What is happening? It was raining heavily. There was only one leaf on the ivy creeper. It was raining heavily, and icy cold wind was blowing. It seemed as though the last leaf would fall any minute now. Behrman did not say a word. He went back to his room. Johnsy woke up next morning in a feeble voice. Feeble means weak voice, or you can say lacking physical strength because of age or illness. So in a feeble voice, Johnsy said that in a feeble voice, Johnsy asked Sue to draw the curtains. Sue was nervous because she was afraid that Johnsey's condition would worsen after seeing the leaf on the creeper. Sue was nervous. She drew back the curtains very reluctantly. Oh! Sue exclaimed as she looked at the vine creeper. Look, there is still one leaf on the creeper. It looks quite green and healthy in spite of the storm and the fierce winds. It did not fall. So look at this. Sue was really surprised to find a last leaf on the creeper because there was heavy rainfall, fierce winds, but even in spite of those stormy weather, still you could find that the last leaf was still there on the creeper. I heard the wind last night, said Johnsy. I thought it would have fallen. It will surely fall today. Then I will die. So Johnsy was still in that mindset. She said, I heard that the wind last night. I thought the last leaf might have fallen, but it will definitely fall today, and I'm going to die after the last leaf falls. You won't die, said Sue energetically. You have to live for your friends. What would happen to me if you die? Then again, to lift her spirits, Sue said, Johnsy, you will not die. You will live for me, for your friends. What will happen to me if you die? Johnsy smiled weakly and closed her eyes. After every hour or so, she would look after the window and find the leaf still there. It seemed to be clinging to the creeper. So, Johnsy smiled weakly because she is seriously ill and she was not eating anything. She closed her eyes. After every hour or so, she would look after the window and see and check whether the leaf is still there or not. But the leaf seems to be clinging to the creeper. It's green, it's healthy, it's still strongly on the creeper. In the evening, there was another storm, but the leaf did not fall. Johnsy lay for a long time looking at the leaf. In the evening, there was again another storm. The leaf did not fall. Johnsy lay for a long time looking at the leaf. Then she called out to Sue, I have been a bad girl. You have looked after me so lovingly, and I have not cooperated with you. I have been depressed and gloomy. The last leaf has shown me how wicked I have been. I have realized that it is a sin to want to die. So then, after seeing that the last leaf was still there on the creeper, it did not fall, then Johnsy, she was trying to understand things. She was trying to be a little logical. She said, I have been a bad girl all these days. Though you looked after me, though you engaged a doctor, though I got the good medicines, I have not cooperated with you to recover. And also, I have been so depressed. I gave up the hope of living. But I think the last leaf has given me an important lesson. It showed me that it is a sin. It's a sin to die. Sue hugged Johnsy. Then she gave her lots of hot soup and a mirror. Johnsy combed her hair and smiled brightly. Now, to make her strong physically, Sue gave her lots of soup, because we tend to take a lot of liquid diet when you're seriously ill, because that will go into the stomach easily. So she had many bowls of hot soup, and then she gave her a mirror, and Johnsy looked into the mirror. And in the afternoon, the doctor came. After examining his patient, he told Sue, Johnsy now has the will to live. I am confident she will recover soon. Now I must go downstairs and see Behrman. He is also suffering from pneumonia, but I am afraid there is no hope for him. So when the doctor came back to check Johnsy that afternoon, he examined the patient and he was so happy because he is confident that now Johnsy will recover. And but he said that he was sad for one part of the story, because here Behrman was there, who is the neighbor of Johnsy and Sue. He also seems to be suffering from pneumonia, and in fact it is very seriously struck him, and he was 60 years old. So it is difficult to recover. So there's no hope for him. The next morning, Sue came and sat on Johnsy's bed, taking Johnsy's hand in hers. She said, I have something to tell you. Mr. Behrman died of pneumonia this morning. He was ill for only 2 days. The first day, the janitor found him on his bed. Okay? A janitor is one whose job is to look after a building. And he was ill for 2 days. And the first day, the janitor found him on his bed. His clothes and beds were wet, and he had been out on the stormy night. So here now, what Sue told, she came into the room of Johnsy and took Johnsy's hands into hers, and she explained what has passed. So in her, absence, or when she was seriously ill. So she said that Mr. Behrman died of pneumonia, and he was ill for only 2 days. Okay, he was his clothes and shoes were wet, and he was shivering, and he went outside on the stormy night. Then they found a ladder and a lantern still lighted laying near his bed. There was also some brushes and green and yellow paints on the floor near the ladder. Johnsy dear, said Sue, look after the window. Look at that ivy leaf. Haven't you wondered why it doesn't flutter when the wind blows? That's Behrman's masterpiece. He painted it the night the last leaf fell. So now in the last lines you come to know that Mr. Behrman, he went outside on the stormy night, and before that he in his room he painted the last leaf with some green and yellow paints on yellow shades. He painted a leaf. It was his masterpiece. It's just the leaf he painted in green and yellow. It just looked like a leaf. So he carefully glued it, or he kept it on the ivy creeper. Carefully he did that, and when he did that, it was there. He did it so carefully. It looked like a real leaf, and he pasted it on the ivy creeper in such a way that it doesn't fall down. So he did it on that stormy night when the wind was blowing and it was raining heavily. And his dream was to paint a masterpiece. Masterpiece is an outstanding work of art, and he did that. That the leaf looked just like a real leaf, and he did that because he wanted to save Johnsey's life, because Johnsey believed that she would die when the last leaf falls. But on the other hand, since he was out and he was he painted, he kept that leaf on the creeper, all because of the rain, because of the wind. Pneumonia struck him, and since he was 60 years old, he was an old man. He died after suffering with pneumonia for 2 days. So friends, this is the story, The Last Leaf, and this is a touching story written by O. Henry with a wonderful narration. What a story, my God, what a story. He did it, a very good work.